Good morning, people. I said I was going to try and come back and do this again and see what's going on. Um, Yesterday, when I made my video, it was basis on learning how to accept people's decisions and not letting other people's decisions affect you to the point where you don't like them, can't stand them, hate them, want to see them destroyed. We have to stop acting like people don't have a right to feel the way that they feel, even if we don't agree with it. And I noticed as I was watching some bloggers that when I go to the comment section, I noticed that a lot of people come on to other people's comments with negativity and telling them that what they're doing is wrong. But I'm wondering, does these same people ever think about what it is that they're attracted to and just how much they're like no different from the person that they're going at right then and there? Prime example, there's this Tasha K versus the world apparently right now in the YouTube streets because of the way that she chooses to do things. I can't say whether she go about things right. I can't say whether she go about things wrong, but I know she's very entertaining for me. I've been a wino for life, but just because I'm a wino don't mean that I agree with every single thing that this woman does. But the way that I look at it is if it ever gets to that point where I really don't like what she's doing, all I have to do is turn it off. And I can always go back and see when she's doing something else that maybe I do like. But I noticed that a lot of people leave negative comments and then they go on to someone else's platform who they do like and they do the exact same thing by putting somebody down or hurting somebody's feelings or so endowed and enticed with somebody else's life. You have to learn that there is a balance in life. You don't have to be mean. You don't have to always express yourself. Like, I don't have to be recording this right now. But some people need to understand that you can't go out here asking for a better way of life if you're not even trying to do it within yourself. I watch bloggers that I don't like because sometimes they talk about things that I want to hear come from them because they bring it to me in a totally different way. So I'm not going to have people tell me, oh, well, you can't be a Tasha K fan and like Geisha 305. Or you can't like Kaya if you are out here watching T.S. Madison. No one can tell me what I can do because I have a choice to like whatever it is that I want to like. It's not up to you, it's up to me. And I don't have to be disrespectful about it. I don't walk around here saying I'm in a white man's world. I'm not out here asking for reparations from slavery that has absolutely nothing to do with me, but everything to do with my ancestors. I'm all over the place with my thoughts, but I always try to keep a balance. It's a balance. You don't have to be mean. You don't have to go out of your way to be heard to hurt somebody. If you guys get what I'm saying, if you understand what I'm saying. Um, I like the variety of entertainment that I get from different people. I like the fact that some people think one way where I've always thought a whole nother way. And then come to find out I'm actually more comfortable with somebody else's way than I am with the way that I've always been taught. But you have to know that there's a balance. Everything that you've learned, everything that you live by, go by, it's been taught to you some way and somehow. The reason why men and women have certain emotions when certain things happen to them is because what they've seen growing up, coming from friends and family, even enemies. You've seen how someone gets a reaction off of something, and if you like it, you're going to do it too. It's a natural fact to catch these things, but because we are so enticed with what other people are doing, we forget how to find ourselves. And I don't have to agree with somebody all the time because that's my choice. But at the same time, I don't have to knock them for feeling the way that they feel, because if that makes sense to them, that's them. Why would I argue with them or try to make somebody feel like they're stupid or they're dumb or they're ignorant, when in fact I'm sure I've been on that side of the boat too, and I'm sure people look at me the same exact way, which is okay. I'm fine with that. And I'm not perfect. And people need to understand that God did not make perfect. If He wanted perfect, we'd have a perfect world and we wouldn't be having this conversation that I'm having with you right now. What I like about variety in life, period, is I like the fact that growing up as a Christian, which my faith and my family is called apostolic holiness, still apostolic, still holy. Religion is a religion. I try not to get involved in that as much as I used to anymore. My faith is I believe that there's a creator to all things. And what I like about Christians is they believe that there's a God, there's a Satan, there's Jesus, and then there's us. But I've talked to people who have seen a total different way to look at that. And it's actually interesting to me to hear that there are people that say that God could have alter ego, meaning God can be love, Satan can be hate, and Jesus was the biased one. He was the one that was going to always understand why people did what they did. But if He chose to be a good person, if He chose to love over them being evil, then He was pretty much showing us what it took to fight against temptation. And I like the sound of that. And I'm not always saying go with what sounds good. Go to what's comfortable to you. And let me explain to you why that scenario is more comfortable to me. Because it helps me realize that there's a balance. It helps me realize that things are not perfect. It helps me realize that if God wanted us to be a certain way all the time, that He would have created a world where we could be that way all the time. But it doesn't sound like to me that He wants any type of control. He wants you to make up your mind to decide if you want to be a good person or not, if you want to be an evil person or not. I choose to be a person that I know every now and then I'm going to slip up. I know that I'm going to make mistakes and I'm going to make people mad. But I hope at some point that people learn me enough to know that I don't intentionally do anything to hurt somebody. I don't pay attention to a whole lot of stuff because my brain doesn't like the overload of just learning a whole lot of different things. The things that catches my eye are things that I feel like are going to help me out in balancing out my life. So I can see a person doing certain things and getting mistreated, and there are certain ways that I feel like it could be handled, but I can't speak for everybody's path. In my last video, I was explaining we all take our own path, and we have to stop getting mad because someone chooses to go a different route than what we do. Especially if we've already experienced those type of things and we know what was best for us, we can tell someone an easier route. But if they feel like they need to go out here and learn lessons, who am I to knock it? We all have to learn lessons. We learn hard ones. We learn easy ones. I'm definitely not a perfect person, and I've done things in my life that I'll say that I'm ashamed of. I can say that being who I was then, I don't know what I was thinking. It's a lot that goes on in a person's life, but you don't know their story. And even if I was to tell you a couple of my stories, you still don't know my full emotion to the story of what really happened. And people can come along and change that image because they want you to look at me in a bad way when I'm not a bad person, just one that was stupid a few times in her life, you know. I'm married to a white guy who we've been married to for some years now, and we both have different backgrounds, and we both were raised very differently. I was raised with a lot of love, and a lot of difference, a lot of free speech, and a lot of brainwashing that goes on. But as I got older, a lot of the things that I was taught with Christianity, it comes to play in my life still. It has an effect on me, but not the same way as it has an effect on other people, because I've learned how to turn things around so that I'm not so hard on myself for some of the decisions that I made. Because when I know deep down that I'm not a bad person and I'm not out here to destroy anybody intentionally, I don't see myself being placed in hell. And there's a few stories that have bothered me in life because of the way that we as human beings react to certain things. I just heard a story about a bear being killed because it was human friendly. And a lot of people was agreeing with the fact that this bear needed to be killed because at some point in its life, it could possibly harm and hurt a human being. And so they didn't trust it to live. That bothers me because we as people are like that too. You have no idea if the person next to you on the bus, in the car, at work is capable of hurting and harming someone until they're driven over to that edge. But you don't go off killing every single person because you just get a sense that at some point in their life, they're going to hurt you. That's not fair. You might as well do humans like that because we are just as bad as animals. And animals have every right to protect themselves. But we're talking about a bear, okay, that they said was human friendly. And that bothered them. And so they took its life because they were in fear of what it could do in the future. Don't get me wrong. That could be true. It could actually harm and hurt someone. But they didn't even give it a chance. You know, they didn't even lock it up like you lock the rest of the animals up in the zoo. If it's that human friendly, put it in a zoo. See if it can be trained to continue to be human friendly. But why just take its life because it was in its own habitat being nice to humans? That bothered me. That's a story that's going to bother me for a long time because I've seen worse happen, you know. And there's a lot of that going on in this world. And the reason why I don't watch TV, the reason why I don't get into reality shows, and I try to limit myself on media as much as possible, because I probably won't be doing these videos all the time. I'll just do them maybe once a week or when I have something on my mind, or if somebody has an idea or a question about anything, or they have a topic that they want me to talk about. I'm not too enticed with stuff like this because what I'm trying to do is create a platform to get people to understand that it's okay to have opinions, but how about not always coming at people until you realize what position that you were in. And me talking about that bear in that situation, I wish that the people that made the decision to hurt this bear, or the ones that agreed to taking this bear's life, I wish they had just thought about, you know, there are other animals that you got caged up already, but you're giving them a chance to live. And if you should ever let one of those things go, one of these animals go, it's a possibility they could harm and hurt because they've been caged up for so long, which means they have to continue to be caged up. But you had a bear that had a fighting chance at just love. You could have continued to show it love and compassion. You didn't even try. And that bothers me. And so, as well as like the bloggers that get on here going at each other, especially the ones that go with Tasha K, I don't want to seem like I'm jumping on her train or anything, because Right now, she's major in the YouTube streets. So I'm using her as an example. And I already said that I'm a wino for life, regardless, because that's my type of person. I can't be loud like her. I can, but I choose not to be. I like seeing somebody else doing it. And I like the fact that she, not so much as go out here trying to destroy people's families, but I like the fact that she goes out here on celebrities, and people think that celebrities are too good and too perfect that they can't be touched. You forget that they're human beings too, and when they became a celebrity, they already signed on to be talked about. No celebrity alive should think that every single person in this world should like them, going to like them, and is always going to support them, because that doesn't sway with me. So we should really think entirely about how we choose things in life. Understand it for yourself and stop trying to understand it for everybody else. If you see something wrong that somebody else is doing and you don't like it, you don't have to speak on it. Just don't become that person and don't do what they do. But to tell somebody about themselves, to tell somebody that they're wrong, to come at them, you're coming at them the same way that they're going at these people that you don't seem to think that it's fair to come at. I love Seven Stars because she's very blunt. I'm always commenting on her because I'm a part of the Girl Cave. I'm a fan. I'm going to be a fan for life because I also like her personality and I like her ratchetness. We all got a little bit of that in us, but some of us just doesn't explode with it until we're at like that point. So it's always good to have somebody that can back you when it comes to something like that. When you feel like you want to just burst out in flames and say this, that, and the third, but you would rather keep it calm, cool, and collective, you got people out here that is willing to do it. Let them do it. That's their job. Their job is to entertain me, so entertain me. And like I said, I watch their enemies. I don't really know these people's storylines, and a lot of times I don't get heavily involved into it because I don't like the way that they talk to each other. I don't like going to the comments and seeing everybody going at each other because of what somebody else said. Tasha K made a video one day and she was all bouncy up in here and looking beautiful and gorgeous from her pregnancy, and a lot of people noticed that in her video and made a little joke about how we couldn't hardly listen to what she was saying because her top part of her body was steadily jumping around, but she had an excellent bra on and people wanted to know about that bra. That's all cool and gravy, but there were people on there that was coming at us like we were gay, like we were homosexuals, and what are we doing looking at her like that? When you see something obvious, why? We're not being perverts. We're not trying to be perverts. And I actually apologize to anybody that we had offended by commenting on Tasha K like that. And I apologize to Tasha K if we had offended her. She never said anything back. I don't think she was offended at all because if her husband loved it, we like it. But that is what I want my platform to be like. I want people to realize that it's okay to feel the way that you feel, even if others look at it like you're wrong for it. But there's a respectful way to go about it. You don't have to constantly be cussing somebody out and calling them names all the time because you're not perfect. You do the same thing in the same way to something else, but because it's something that you like and somebody else don't like it, you want to come at them and take their head completely off. That is ridiculous. I went on a page that was talking about Beyonce, and they were talking about how she was a part of the Illuminati and all these different rituals, and she might be a witch, this, that, and the third. And I was, of course, reading comments. This is what I do. I try to figure out how people think and act towards certain things. And I don't get into Beyonce like I used to because her beehive took that away from me. Acting the way that they act towards people, and then acting like Beyonce is some kind of god of some sorts. But I'm not saying that that's wrong. I'm just saying that's not for me, and that kind of makes me go away from her in that manner, because I can't look at her as the same person when I don't see her as the same person. I like the girl that sung Dangerously in Love, and I like the girl, excuse me, that sang To the Left, to the Left. I love the girl who sung Halo. And then I knew Beyonce. The vibe that I got from her, I was comfortable with. That's just me. But now I see more of a diva. I see more rapping. I see more hardcore. I'm just not into that. That doesn't mean she's a bad person. That doesn't mean I'll never look at anything about her again. That just means I'm just not into her like I used to be because of her changes. Those changes have worked out fine for her. Kudos. I'm happy for her. I'm proud of her. Doesn't mean I'm jealous. If I wanted what she had, I could go out here and do what she did to get what she got. I'm not enticed with this world. I don't want all that stuff. That all that stuff brings heartache, it brings pain, it brings bills, it brings responsibility. People can't take but so much. And if I already know I can't take but so much, I'm not going to put but so much on me. So understand that you've got to know your limits for you. You can't know it for me. And I can't handle what all these celebrities are going for. And I'm not saying that they're wrong for it. If that's what they work hard for it. Do what you got to do. But that's just not me. But it doesn't mean that I'm not. It doesn't mean that I'm jealous. It just means I'm not into stuff like that. You know, I don't want all the material things in the world. Going places here and there every now and again. That's great, fine, and dandy. But it comes with a price. And it's a lot more going on in this world that needs our attention than these celebrities when they already have their gimmick. Their gimmick is their talent. Whatever their talent is, that's their gimmick. I don't really need to know why T.I. keeps cheating on Tiny, and every time he does it, he buys her a car. I don't want to even know why she chooses to stick with him, because I'm pretty sure, as someone who's got history and past with this man, that she's probably staying with him because she assumes she loves him and she has a family with him, and they have made it through worse. To where on my side of the street, I feel like you deserve more than that, than to keep getting gifts from somebody that's going to constantly remind you as to why you got the gift. I think she's better than that. I think she deserves better than that. But I can't speak for her. That's a grown woman who's made a decision for herself. So I can't take that from her, and I never would try. She's no different from Snoop Dogg and his wife, what happened, or Waka Flocka and his girl or wife. I don't know much about these people, but of the same difference. This is their life. This is what they choose, and it's a lot. It's a bit much for me, because people pick and choose. That's how they get their little balance or whatever. It's not me. But I want my platform to help people to kind of stop and think about, when you're coming at somebody, what you could be possibly creating. You could be creating a whole war. You know, this Jussie Smollett thing upset me so bad, because people wanted so much for Trump to have something to do with that. And a lot of people were ready to go for the race war. And a lot of things could have happened if the truth hadn't started surfacing. And then at the same moment, you have someone who apparently doesn't get to go to jail for what he did, but gets off scot-free, minus the fact that he's probably messed up his career for just lying. I don't really want to hear too much more about his situation. That's over and it's done with, because the people that supported him, The people that got on the camp, the celebrities, and I'm not going to name them because they're not important to me. But there were a lot of celebrities that I liked and looked up to that supported this man. And I think they deserve, I think we deserve an apology. Because even though they didn't know the full story, and I get that they were supporting somebody they thought was telling the truth, how about telling us how you feel now that you know the truth? And if you come out your mouth and say, well, that's on him and we ain't got nothing to do with it, then that was the same train of thought you should have had when all of this started. You should have came out and said this shouldn't happen to anybody, and I'm sorry that it did happen, and I hope all well that ends well. But no, some of these celebrities went out their way to say some really, really crazy things on the behalf of this man just to find out he lied. There's no getting past the lie, okay? Not the lie. But this is life. This is what we accept. This is what we do. We make these type of choices and these type of decisions that's going to always have an effect on us. And I want us to be careful with it. Because if you want a better world, you have to start with yourself. You have to look at the man in the mirror. Michael tried to tell us. He always tried to tell us, you have to start within. You know? I'm pretty sure he himself wasn't perfect. But neither am I. And everyone has a right to choose whatever path that they choose. And if ever it comes a time where they feel like they took a path that they feel like they had no choice but to take, you need to start analyzing your life. Analyzing your life. You know? This thing with Nicki and Cardi B, it made me sick. Because I seen two beautiful, two talented women that could go out here and do their thing and share the stage and make just as much money if they came together than the money that they made being apart. Because we in this generation, because this ain't my generation was hella better than this generation that's going on right now. Because my generation consists of MC Lyte, Queen Latifah, Salt and Pepper, The Real Roxanne, Shantae, Oaktown 357. Stop playing. Back then, the beefs were about this small, if you even seen a beef. And I remember these women always coming together to make videos together, doing shout outs to each other. It was a beautiful thing not having to watch them try and tear each other down, but build each other up. Because they always knew that there was room for the next. Yo. All these women play a part in my history and in my past, Lauryn Hill, because they never changed. Till this day, they are still the same people that they were in my generation. And I love that because they're not in $250,000 homes. They're not out here being flashy. They're not out here tearing people down. They're actually trying to bring people together. Show these young people in the industry now that this is, this is a safer way, a nicer way of doing things. But they can't make anybody do anything either. You have to choose your own path. So, yeah, I speak on a lot because I have a lot to say when it comes to our attitudes. But at the end of the day, all I want people to know is there's a way to respect people. There's a way of doing things. And I hope and pray that through my platform that we can get to know each other better and start loving each other just because that's who we are. Keep a balance. Always keep a balance. In order to know the light in you, you have to know the dark in you. In order to know the love in you, you have to know the hate in you. And if you want to live in a world where you're not being bothered with and you're not seeing all this racism and stuff that's going on in this world, when I walk out my door, I don't see all this stuff that y'all are seeing because I don't watch TV, I don't read the newspapers. I keep up with very little through YouTube and Instagram. And you can follow me on Instagram. I do positive things and I try to make people laugh because I'm a jokester. But we have enough hate being thrown in our face. And just because people are showing you all this hate and stuff that's going on in the world don't mean we can't change it by simply showing that we have love inside of us. We should try that. So I'm going to leave on this note because it's early in the morning and I'm tired and I just wanted to see how things was going to go. I only got a couple of views off my first video because nobody could hear my voice. So I hope this time y'all can hear me. If not, I do apologize. Like I said, I'm new at this. And hopefully in time I'll get better if this is something that I choose to stick with. But if you like it, please give me a thumbs up. Please give me a thumbs up. And share it with people that might need it to hear it. And if you have any suggestions, anything you want to talk about, anything you want to know about me having my opinion on, remember at all costs, it's just an opinion. My opinion is not to affect anyone. Look, think, act the way you act. But if I have an opinion about it, respect it. Because I'm not trying to change you. I'm trying to change me. Y'all have a blessed morning, a blessed day, and a beautiful life.